amazing?
I think it's just kind of one of those where it's like a ball like that looped ball. A lot of people will not necessarily give up on it, but it's so hard to pick up the flight, know where you are because you're
Mhm.
tracking first across, and then it's just redirected in an awkward way. So you end up finding yourself in a little bit of two worlds. And then obviously I think it showcases my ability to get across goal in an awkward
Mhm.
situation and obviously produce a save. But yeah, I love that save. It was against the Red Bulls MLS squad in the Open Cup, and that was like 5 minutes into the game, and that kind of set the tone for how I wanted to perform for the day.
Yeah, and I think what's great about this is I think you hit the nail on the head with a lot of people. One might dive too early, might not take those extra use that extra footwork to get there. And you'll see somebody make it maybe take a step back and try to project themselves, and that they're not going to get there. You took those extra steps, you got across the goal, you covered the ground you had to in order to make a save, and then technically you used whatever hand you had to use to keep it out. You know how I feel about that, Mike? No,
Yeah.
I'd
Make
never
the
say,
save.
oh, it's supposed
Top
to
hand,
be
bottom
a
hand,
top
whatever.
hand.
Yeah.
I don't care. Keep the ball out of the net. Great footwork, and you get the ball out of the net. Like, parents will be like, wasn't he supposed to use your top hand? I'm like, I don't care. The ball's not in the net.
You
love
know
it.
what I like Jimmy, that you included this in your reel is because not every play's clean. The game is messy, and sometimes we have to improvise in the moment based
A
on a
lot of the
situation.
time.
Yeah, a lot of the time. So I think being able to showcase the fact that you're being able to find a successful action in a difficult situation, I think is really important for somebody to see
Yeah,
from a
it's a great
scouting
save.
perspective.
Thank
Yeah.
It's a great save.
Oh, I love
And
it.
you didn't even, and it wasn't even almost even a corner. That was
No,
nice
did you keep it in play?
he did at first. I think eventually it might have bounced out, but yeah, kept
Yeah.
it in.
Location, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
hey Japan. Hey Japan. Don't bury the ball back in the six.
Also, Jimmy, if you can find some Japanese lineage.
Maybe.
All right. So let's go on to this next one. This is not a college clip. It just happens to be played at IUPUI. So kind of walk us through what's going on here, Jimmy, first to start with.
Yeah, here we go. So
First
for
off,
me, yeah, go ahead.
First off, was he offside? So go ahead.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
So in these situations, for me, I am typically a guy that's going to play a little bit deeper because I trust my shot stopping ability. That's my strength. I know I'm going to produce saves, and I trust my defenders. To be honest, I trust them to make plays. I trust them to recover. So here, seeing them get beat, I decide, okay, this isn't a ball that I'm going to win. Whether he was offsides or not, he had a great jump on it. And for me, there were a couple times in my career where maybe I just stood at the 18 and waited for this to develop. In this situation, and in those situations, I conceded because I ran out of real estate. In this situation, I drop off because one, it eliminates a floated ball over the top. There's no space. There's a lot less space in behind me. I've now bought my center back time to recover in case he can. Whether he does or not, that's up to him or up to the attacker. And now I haven't given the attacker an answer. The second we give him an easy answer or we give him the solution by making this decision, the pressure's on us. It's not on him because the decision's straightforward. Now, once I drop in, now he says, okay, do I have to take a touch? Do I have to dink him one time? He has to start to think. The more you have to think, the more you're going to take time to process, the more likely you are to give me a solution on your own. So once he finally recovers the ball, okay, he takes his touch. I'm waiting. Okay, center back's not going to get there. I'm at a deep enough point. I decide, okay, my line of confrontation is probably 2-3 yards inside the 18. Then I've got to decide to close. Can I get close enough where I can use the block or the spread? Maybe not, maybe. If I can't, can I hold my ground and be as big yet compact as possible? I think I took this one off the throat. Just because
whatever works.
Look at this. Look at this.
Just my belief was hold my shape as long as I can, cover as much space as I can, and be in a position where I'm not sacrificing the easy route. If he's going to beat me, make him beat me with a ball in the corner. Make him beat me with a worldie. I'm not going to give him the easy solution.
Yeah. One thing I love about this, and for everybody who's listening to the audio,
nothing at all to add.
See, he's a goalkeeper mind.
For the first time ever, I have nothing to add. I'm like, mic drop. I'm done.
I mean, that was what a breakdown. What a breakdown right there. Just for the audio, just for
but
people.
But it's everything I would have said that I like, how to deal with it, dropping, let your defense recover, like making that forward, having to make a decision. You know how I feel about that. Staying compact, staying big, making them beat you, not giving them the everything. Done. Boom. Bye.
I love it.
I love it. So guys, it's a flicked ball from like a little bit outside the circle, over the top to the attacking player, and there's chase by the defender. Defender doesn't get there in time, so Jimmy has to approach in, cover, and off the throat. There we go.
But I think one of the best things about this is he gives himself some depth. He doesn't get caught in no man's land, because all those people that are driving right now for Thanksgiving, you can listen. He doesn't get caught in no man's land. You don't stay at the penalty spot. You don't stay at the top of the 18 with no real estate, like you said. You give yourself depth. That depth allows your defender to. That attacker knows that a defender's bearing down on him. So he does not have that much time to make a decision. But by giving depth, by dropping, you give that a little more time to evolve and a little more pressure on him. And now he's flustered and he can't just, you're not giving him an easy answer, just like you said. So
I think if you hadn't dropped for depth right there, Jimmy, he would have attempted to try to chip you right there. That's what I think he would have tried to do.
Yeah,
he lift it right over you.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. So I think this is absolutely brilliant. And one thing, just the last thing I want to say before we get into it.
And the throat save is great.
The last thing I want to say before we get into this right here, to the next clip right here, Jimmy, that I love that you said is you came out and you're like, and you saw how much ground can you cover? Can you get into an optimal position for a spread or a block? Probably not. So can I hold my ground? Thank you for bringing that part up, because I think, again, like many, many young goalkeepers don't understand.
Hey,
ask.
Hey,
how are? Oh, look at that setup you got going on. Oh my gosh, so festive.
I know, right?
Oh my God, got the tree in the back. You got the
fire.
The fire going. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. You wouldn't even think you're in California. Look at Todd here. He's probably freezing over there in Pennsylvania.
It's not too bad today. It's a little rainy and gloomy. It feels like England right now, but it's warmer than it was last week. Put it that way. Last week it was freezing. So
hi, Don.
How are you?
I'm good.
That's good to hear. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the sun.
It's actually cloudy today.
Yeah, Todd, it's got to be at least 62. I don't know.
Oh.
I think it's 60.
Okay, it's 60. Okay, it's 60. Oh my God.
For you guys.
It is.
Oh yeah. 62? Are you kidding?
It's 62. You're right.
62. Oh my gosh. Did I get it right on?
Right on.
Oh my gosh. Look at this guy.
Is that a Hummel jersey I see right now?
Oh, Mike and his Hummel jersey.
Denmark.
Camp shutout. Camp shutout. Shout out to Stan Anderson, the one and only Stan Anderson, who Todd Hoffard worked a little bit of the camp shutout camps.
That's
so
right.
I figured I would share some love right there. Oh my God.
Not as much as the man as Big E, but
What's up?
Ethan's got. Is that grassroots soccer, dude?
Dude, this is this. Just so you know, this isn't even. This drops on December 1st. It's the World AIDS Day, grassroots soccer 20th anniversary commemorative top. So,
wow,
you guys are
sick.
Nice.
That is unbelievable.
You need my address for one of those, or
$1,000 offered for you. It's $1,000.
No problem. No problem.
Oh my gosh, this is gonna. This is gonna be fun. All right, guys, let's just get this started here. Here we go.
Do I need headphones or like you guys are?
Inside the 18 on Michael Magid, live from a very cold West Hollywood, California. It's got to be 62 degrees out here. With me, warm and toasty by the fire because it's 62 degrees in Los Angeles. 99 World Cup winner, Saskia Weber. And two people that know a lot more about insane elements other than 62 degrees. The one and only Todd Hoffard. And joining us for the first time, you know him, you love him, grassroots soccer founder himself, Ethan Zohn, everybody.
Woo!
Woo!
Good to be here. So good to be here.
He's in the coldest region of the world right now, of all four of us.
Wait, where are you right now, Ethan?
I'm calling in from the middle of the woods of New Hampshire right now.
Oh, that is
So,
cool.
Oh my, that is.
Really cold. I mean, right this very moment, not so cold, but we're on a trajectory to getting dark at 4 p.m. and, snow up to your shoulders.
Oh my God. Now, Todd, is it snowing? Is it snowing in Pennsylvania yet?
Thankfully, no. And I hope it doesn't. I've seen enough snow in my day when I was at 4 years at Hartwick. So that's,
This is why Saskia moved from New Jersey. This is why she did that. She's like, I don't have to worry about that. I can go and visit. It looks very pretty coming down from the sky, but then I don't have to shovel it or anything like that. For those of you guys out there who are probably wondering, like, why, what the heck is Ethan doing on here? We know Todd. Todd's a goalkeeper guy, but Ethan, I don't think a lot of people realize this because they know you obviously from your motivational speaking and grassroots soccer, and obviously winning Survivor Africa, which I mean.
I think I'd like to rephrase that. People might recognize me from Survivor. I wouldn't say it's from my playing career or my grassroots soccer career or my goalkeeping career.
I
But
said to Shannon, I go, she's like, who's on the show? I was just like, Todd, and then I go, and Ethan's on. She's like, from Survivor? She's like, and I'm like, he's a soccer player.
It's either like, I think did I go to high school with you? Or like, how do I know you? Did we go to Temple together? I just have no idea. Because don't forget, Survivor was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
20 years ago. So.
Oh my gosh.
And back then it was brutal. Back then it was
the real
it was a
old
real
school
deal.
Survivor. Yeah.
It was like no food whatsoever for the entire time.
Oh my gosh. Now, Ethan, obviously, people know that, but they don't know that you actually spent some time in Africa actually playing in Africa. And I always thought this was really fascinating. So why don't you kind of catch up some people with your time at Highlanders over in Zimbabwe?
Sure. Well, I guess I'll start from, I went to the Division III powerhouse Vassar College in upstate New York. I never had dreams of playing professional soccer, but I did have dreams of being a marine biologist. So after college, I moved to Hawaii. A lot of water there, bound to find a job. Not the case. I ended up cleaning toilets and making beds in a youth hostel, but there was an advertisement in the local paper for a new professional soccer team called the Hawaii Tsunami, and they played in the USISL back in the day. This is circa 1996.
What a name.
So I tried out, what?
The Tsunami.
The Tsunami. Yeah. We played in Aloha Stadium, which was like 100,000 seat stadium, and there was like 7 people there on old school AstroTurf. Todd, back in the old days.
I played there. Yeah.
Oh, you probably did play there. Yeah, you were actually in the A League, which was above where the Tsunami was. But I made it, and I was like, screw being a marine biologist. I'm going to play soccer for the rest of my life. So I bounced around the lower levels. I played, in Hawaii. I moved to Cape Cod, played for the Cape Cod Crusaders. And while I was there, one of my buddies had traveled to Zimbabwe to play for a team called the Highlanders Football Club in the Zimbabwe Premier League. He's like, it's so much fun over here. We need a keeper. Come on over. And so I said, all right, I just might as well try it. So I went over there, tried out, and, made the reserve team, got called up for a couple of the first team matches. I never actually got into a first team match, but I played in all the reserve team games.
I mean, dude, I love the way you said that, though, that your friend's like, come on over here, man, like it's down the street.
Right? Yeah, right.
He's like, hey, man, he's like, I'm playing in the Zimbabwe Premier League. You made it sound like it was like the LA Men's League. Like, it's like, yeah, man, come on. If you can get off of work in time, like, I think we have another spot available. Just come on down.
Well, this is the situation. So there's a steady stream of US-based soccer players traveling to Zimbabwe to play for the Highlanders, because it all started in the late 80s, early 90s with a coach by the name of Bobby Clark. Bobby Clark was the Dartmouth coach and Stanford coach, Notre Dame coach. He went over to Zimbabwe for a sabbatical. And so he went over there. He brought his son, Tommy Clark, and Tommy played there. And then he brought over some guys from Dartmouth. Andrew Shue was one of the first players to travel there. And so ever since Andrew Shue went over there, they won the championship. So they're like, oh my God, in Zimbabwe, there's a lot of juju, good luck, bad luck. And they're like, we need at least one white player on the team in order to win a championship. So when it came around, they're like, we need another white guy.
Hold on, are you allowed to say that? Are you allowed to say that? I feel like I don't want to get canceled on this show, but I
don't think you get canceled, but that's literally what they told me. So it's a fact right now. I'm saying it verbatim. Andrew Shue was there. They won the championship, and they had a steady stream of white guys that would come over from America to play for the team. And so I got my spot, and I felt really good about it, actually.
Oh my God, that is Todd. I mean, when you said that Ethan's got stories, I didn't know 5 minutes into the podcast, we would already have 3 stories that are unreal. Todd, you got to, did you ever play in Zimbabwe?
No, I never went to Zimbabwe. I would have liked to.
You went to Harrisburg, though.
Well, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and Zimbabwe are other ends of the spectrum.
I heard that team's offering Ronaldo a ton of money.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of clubs that are going to be offering Ronaldo a lot of money.
After he scored today by
phantom header.
He literally walked in the way of the goalkeeper, and they're like, "Goal, Ronaldo!" They're like, "Is that all you have to do?"
Although I say, the Belgium keeper, Courtois, or whatever his name is, he had 2 of those actually, where he went to make the save and no one touched it, and both goals were kind of like that.
Well, just imagine next summer we could see Ronaldo and Messi in MLS, which would be pretty exciting.
Do you think Ronaldo's where he's going to come? New England? Do you think?
New England? I don't know.
There's the largest Portuguese population in the country.
Oh my God, that's right.
In the Laza League, yeah, in Western Massachusetts.
He's not going to play on turf, though. I can guarantee he's not going to want to play on that turf. He's going to be like Henri. When I was in New York, he refused to play on turf.
Look at that.
Saskia refused to play.
I just opened.
Saskia, did anyone back in the old WUSA days refuse to play on turf?
We couldn't even get paid. What are you talking about? Jesus.
I think I actually got paid more to show up at your games than you did as a broadcaster,
probably.
Which is horrible.
Yeah. Probably. I'm like, you just played on what you played on. Shut up.
Oh my God. Speaking about evening the playing field right there, this is a great segue right into grassroots soccer. Ethan, why don't you tell people a little bit about grassroots soccer?
Sure. The grassroots soccer, all of that started because of my time playing in Zimbabwe. And because while I was there, one of my strongest memories of my time in Zimbabwe was all the graveyards there. My team, we'd all smush into these tiny white little vans. We'd travel these long, dusty roads to get to all our away games. And I just have these images because on the side of the roads, I would see these graveyards, and some of the headstones are perfectly organized, one right after another. And then other areas of these graveyards were wooden crosses. They were piled high, overflowing on the streets. So I asked my teammates, why are some people buried like this and other people buried like that? And he says, well, that's where they bury all the people that die of AIDS. And so I was like, wow, for me to see a physical representation of everyone that was dying of this disease was shocking. People are dying. Everyone knows why. No one's doing anything about it. And this was really the first time I saw how one disease was just destroying this community that I was now a part of. And, but at that time in my life, I didn't really know what I could do about it. 27 years old, wasn't making a lot of money playing. So to be honest, I didn't do anything about it. Returned home to the United States and continued to play here. And I was chosen to participate in the show Survivor. And while I was on the show Survivor, I won a roar challenge. Have you guys seen the show Survivor, Todd, Saskia? Have you guys seen it?
I saw it.
You've heard of it?
And that's it.
Okay.
Survivor.
Right.
Survivor. That's.
Are you kidding me? I watch it every Wednesday.
You're still watching?
Oh yeah, still watching.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, still watching.
I couldn't have done it without your help way back in 2000.
Shannon's always like, "You should go on. You should go on." I was like, no. All I'm thinking is I'm gonna jump over that wall and there goes an ankle or something. I'm like, I got the swimming down and I can do the savvy stuff in the side, but I'm all right.
Well, if you want to get on, let me know. I got a
Thanks.
direct line to casting, you know.
Oh my God. Yes, please make that happen, Ethan. I actually want to see that. I
Or
want
maybe
to
an
see
Inside the 18 on the Amazing Race, you too. Amazing
Oh,
Race.
there
Oh
it
my!
is.
I'll do that. I'll do the Amazing Race.
As
I'll do
long
that.
as Mike can eat like every 5 minutes when we travel, that's the most important thing. Because that's for
I do,
some
I need-
reason,
I do,
Mike
I
is
need
one
to
of
eat
those travelers that's like, we're flying from here to Connecticut or whatever. It doesn't matter. And he has to have 4 meals. And I'm just like, my God, would you eat this much if we were just sitting at home? Like, it's just a flood.
And an energy drink. You got to make
Right.
sure.
Oh,
the
and
energy
an
drink's
energy
Oh my
drink.
God.
And he has it on the plane. It's like, we're going to the moon and there's nothing to eat there. So
Remember
Well, I
when
can
we had
tell
that
you
delay
there's-
at the airport? Go ahead, Ethan.
No, I was just gonna say there's no food on Survivor, and there's even less food on the Amazing Race. So,
yeah.
Oh boy.
but just to wrap up that story, so like I get back from playing in Zimbabwe, I get chosen for the show Survivor, and while I'm actually playing the show Survivor, I won a reward challenge, won these 2 goats, which I wasn't so happy about. But I got to take these goats to this little village in Kenya, which is where Survivor was being filmed. And all these little, I was hanging out in this like parking lot in front of Wamba Hospital, tiny little hospital. And all these little Kenyan children came out and they were, you know, touching me, and they've never seen anyone like me before. And so I busted out a hacky sack and we just start playing and laughing, connecting and communicating through the sport that we both love in a language we understand. And, you know, one of the nurses from the hospital came out and she says, well, these are the kids that are HIV positive. It's like here I am in the middle of this game of Survivor and I had that real life experience. So when I got back from the show, I said, okay, if things go my way, I'd like to do something good with the money. And it did go well. You know, I ended up winning. And so I partnered up with Dr. Tommy Clark, who was the father who was from Zimbabwe, Kirk Friedrich, Matembe Lover, and we started Grassroots Soccer. And Grassroots Soccer is an adolescent health organization that's using the power of soccer to educate, inspire, and mobilize young people to overcome the greatest health challenges. And, you know, we're in 60 countries and we've graduated 18 million kids from the program.
It's awesome.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Like, I mean, like, and Todd, what have you done with your day?
Yeah.
Well, Todd was essential in the early days of Grassroots Soccer. So he's done a lot for Grassroots Soccer, but I don't know what he did today.
Today was all about financial aid forms for my son going to college. So not nearly as productive.
But like I said,
that's always-
Todd, back in the day, he was like the first adopter of Grassroots Soccer.
I love
And
it.
it was a great time, 2004-ish. I had just been on Survivor again for Survivor All-Stars, and Todd organized the first ever reality All-Star Soccer Festival in Lancaster, Pennsylvania at the Lanco Fieldhouse. And it was, I mean, no one was doing stuff like this at the time. And it was awesome. Like we had Winalda, Harks, Balboa,
Nice.
Shep Messing. You probably remember them more than I do, Todd. We
It
had
was-
Todd
it was a
Hoffard,
bunch of
Ethan
them.
Zohn,
Tony
Nice.
DiCicco was there.
Tony
Nice.
DiCicco. We had a couple
Yeah.
guys from Man U. Who's that guy from Man U?
Oh my
He got
gosh,
kicked
that's
off
right.
for doing some drugs, I think.
Big player as well. Sharp.
Oh
Lee
my
Sharp.
God. What's it?
Lee
Robbie
Sharp.
Fowler.
Oh,
Lee
not
Sharp.
Fowler, but a lot.
Lee Sharp, Earl Barrett, Terry Phelan,
Terry Phelan. Yeah, we had some good
Thomas
players there.
Rongan. I mean, it was a laundry list of
That's awesome.
players. It was.
Did Thomas Rongan wear a bow tie while he was playing? Please tell me he was wearing a bow tie.
No, but I
while
think he was
playing.
smoking in goal while he was playing, and he's not even a goalie. I love that guy.
That's
Seriously.
unbelievable.
Greatest guy. In the
Oh my! Need to do that again. Need to do that again because I don't know if you know this, but Saskia Weber is a charity match legend.
Really? Tell me more.
Oh yeah! Oh yeah!
Oh no! I went and did the Senators game in DC, and it was Harks and Kobe and a bunch of like some NFL football players that don't know how to play, and nobody shows up to play defense in charity matches, which is why most goalkeepers don't ever want to do a charity match. And like I hadn't played in forever, and I was just like, you know, that mentality clicks on, and I just had a great game, right? Got my shoulder dislocated by like some 6'7" senator, kept playing, right? He got MVP of the game. But Kobe and them came up to me afterwards and were like, you know, it's a charity match, right? and Hart's like, are you getting paid for this? And I was just like, no, but I mean, what am I supposed to do? He's like, just get out of the way. And I'm like, it doesn't work that way in goal. Like, I can't just be like, okay, I can't just like avoid a tackle. Like, like I have to go get the ball. So it was hilarious. It's still shoulder will probably never be the same after it, but no, it was funny.
I think it's interesting. I've found as a goalkeeper, I am absolutely like if I come out of retirement for a game or for 45 minutes, like I happen to play incredible. But then I need to take like a year or two off in between my next game. But I can do one game. And if I do one game and one game only, people think I'm still the best keeper in the world. After that, it's like literally I plummet.
No, I was just like, everybody's like, wow, you can still. I was like, I could play for this. That was about it. I got this big pack of ice on my shoulder, everything. I was just like, oh, okay, that's it.
see, the thing is, you guys, you need to do it like I do it, right? Every weekend, still get out there and play in the men's leagues.
Absolutely,
seven aside. You're down by 4 goals. That ball's it's a 2v1, and you're still sprinting across the goal, trying to stop it and hit the post with your face. All that kind of stuff.
And those charity games, I think, are the hardest to play as a goalkeeper.
Absolutely,
you have no idea where that ball's going. Somebody that you're playing against, who's never really kicked the ball ever. You don't know if it's coming off their foot, if it's coming off their shin, if it's coming off their kneecap. They're going to swing and miss.
It's like playing Saudi Arabia or something.
Yeah, it was so funny because Hartsey thought he was going to be really funny. So from kickoff, he decided to shoot. Like, I'm not keen to what he's going to do. And he's like yelling because he's yelling. He's like, why are you standing there? I'm like, I'm like in goal. Like, I'm on the line. I was just like, because I'm not an idiot. I was just like, I know what you're lining up to. Totally shanked the ball. I think it went for a throw in. I said it. It went for
I think in the one we did, Ethan, I might have thrown one in my own goal as well. So
I wouldn't doubt that.
It was all the pro players against this. I think it was all survivors that year. It was anybody that was in Survivor. So there were some of the survivors that I don't think ever outside of you never kicked a soccer ball ever.
Yeah. No, that's how it was with the Senate, with the Congress. It was the congressional game, and I'm just sitting there, just like, some of these people have never played soccer before, and I have to defend against this.
Yeah, it's not easy because you don't want to look like an idiot.
Exactly, you don't want to suck, like, totally.
Right.
Yeah,
so like I said, Kobe was like backing off of tackles, like, letting people go, and I'm like, I can't do it as a keeper. You can't.
It's all or nothing.
See, you got to play the media games. That way, it's because it's usually like one former pro and then a bunch of people that just think it's the game of chess, and they just move around based on the tactical decision making from their analytics, from all their statistics that they read, and they think that's how the game is played, and then they're wondering where the ball is.
No,
like, if I move into 45 degrees this way, I should be in position.
I just have to not do it again. That's about it.
I think the next one, Ethan, should be out in LA in that new stadium.
Oh my God!
Would be.
I want to fill a stadium, with
In
one
Bank?
of these big celebrity
Bank.
games.
Bank's incredible.
The Bank is and will be my favorite MLS stadium.
It's so much fun.
Without a shadow of a doubt, it's the best atmosphere out there.
Oh, it's incredible.
For
NWSL as well. It's incredible.
Yeah.
This year at the Grassroots Soccer Gala, we are honoring the Angel City FC ownership group with the Grassroots Soccer Change Maker Award. So it's really exciting for us.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep. And,
oh, wow.
Yep. And Jessica Berman's coming. Is it Jessica or Stephanie? Jessica Berman, the NWSL commissioner. Don Garber is going to be there. It's going to be a really fun night.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
When is this?
This is December 1st, World AIDS Day. Grassroots Soccer's World AIDS Day Gala, hosted by Steph Myers. And like I said, we're honoring Angel City FC.
And that's going to be in LA?
That's actually going to be in New York. It's going to be in New York in the Ziegfeld Ballroom.
Honoring Angel City FC in New York City.
Yeah, but
it's because Grassroots Soccer, we do a lot in, for adolescents, especially young women. And so we feel that Angel City and their ownership group is an incredible example of, women-led ownership group. So
I'm not going to argue.
Right, of course you can.
I mean, shout out to you all at Angel City. So obviously, I don't want to make this a plug for Angel City, but we can.
It's okay.
We can.
I mean, obviously, you just recently just experienced a project over that Angel City had, where they had yourself and some other key speakers over. Was it Marie Claire? What was that happened?
Yeah, Marie Claire brought in 150 women, female up and coming entrepreneurs and everything, and we came and we had a panel conversation discussion with them, as well as Jessica Biel came, talked about everything. But it was for us, they came to Bank. They wanted to do it with Angel City. It's called Power Trip, and then they went on to other places. But it was incredible to meet all these women and just talk to them about their business ideas and concepts, and just to empower women. That's and there is no ceiling.
Yeah.
So
speaking of that, there's no ceiling to coming back to the game, even after you won the game of Survivor and stopped your career. That's today's topic, guys. Today's topic is returning to the game as a player and a coach. That was a really cool discussion here, because we have quite a few people here that have come back to the game after they spent a little bit of time away from the game. First off, Ethan, when we mean by stepping away from the game and returning to the game, what do we kind of mean by that?
Well, for me, I say when I return to the game, for me, that means returning to playing the game. I was never really returning to coach the game. I coached, youth. I coached at the D1 level, club level, volunteer assistant coach here in New Hampshire. Just isn't my thing. I can't get into it. So I'm never coming back to coach, but I'm coming back to play at some point. So I recently dusted off the boots, and I'm now playing for an over 45 soccer team. We went to Israel this past summer and played in the Maccabi Games, which was really exciting. But coming back wasn't easy.
No.
Right?
That is very, very true. Now, Saskia, you did the opposite of Ethan. You looked at it and you said, I want to return to the game. You're like, but there's no way I want to do what was going on in that charity match. How else can I help and give back to the game? What brought you back to the game, and how was that transition for you?
I think that, I took time away and everything, but you have to ask yourself the question, is my body capable? And and the amount of time, I think for me, that it took to be at the level I was at. I mean, to be on a world champion team and everything. Physically and mentally, I wasn't ready to go that route again, because I think for me, everything was, unless I was going to be the best, I wasn't, and at that level, it wasn't in my psyche to be, no offense to anybody, playing in a charity match, or in I get asked all the time to play in over, let's say 40. How
about this, Saskia? When people found out, people did a Google search of me on my co-ed team, and they said, "Hey, can you get Saskia to come out and play?"
I get asked all the time. I just came back, and it started off slow, with coaching, doing privates and stuff, and then I went into club, and I was coaching club, but everything was on my terms, in a sense. I wasn't moving, I wasn't going anywhere. If a college asked me to coach, and then UCLA, asked, and for me, the mentality was, all right, well, best team in the country, so yeah, I'll go coach. So, and then the transition with Angel City and everything, and being part of the ownership group and being involved that way, and now with broadcasting, I'm happy returning to the game in that facet. Absolutely. Yeah. And of course our podcast and a bunch of other stuff, and the union and everything else.
I will say this, Saskia, one of the cool things is that, and Todd knows this as well too, is that because, you running your camps and, obviously you working in MLS for so many years, you saw a lot of players come in and make that transition into coaching. And since you had kind of gone the route of coaching and kind of gone from grassroots into the professional game, were you able to offer them a little bit of I don't want to say mentorship, but because you kind of saw it from a different standpoint?
You're talking to me?
Yeah.
I think so. I think that was one thing I always tried to, especially with the younger players that would come in, right fresh out of college, or they were coming right out of the academies, of trying to, give them some of my experience that, you're probably not going to play forever. Is there a backup plan? And I would say this to every young player that's out there: if you have any inkling of being a coach at any level, get your licenses as fast as you possibly can. I did the exact opposite. I waited till I was done playing. I was 30 years old, and then tried to get my licenses, and it was difficult. And I wish now going back, I wish I would have been a lot younger to try to actually get my licenses. So that's definitely something that I've tried to portray to every young player that came through MLS, or whether it was a USL team that I was coaching or whatever. If you have any interest whatsoever, start as soon as you possibly can.
Yeah, I think with Angel City, with our Futures 22 Player 22 program, like that to me, like, is absolutely incredible. And the fact that we're setting it up so that it's not just Angel City, but the players in the league can start pursuing those goals now while they're playing. And so that when they do retire, they've set, like you're saying, Todd, they've set themselves up, whether they're already getting their licenses, whether they're already kind of mentally putting themselves into the position to go into coaching or go into the front office or be an owner or be a coach, like that we're already setting it up for that. So you're not waiting till after you retire, because I've said it all the time. Like, I just did something for Sports Illustrated where they were like, if you could tell your 18-year-old self what to do, I was like, set yourself up for after soccer, because I couldn't see past soccer. And like, granted, I was, embedded in the national team and everything, but I couldn't see past it. And then when it was over, it was like, oh shit, like, I guess I better go and win Survivor. So it was like,
That's exactly what I said.
So, I agree.
I got cut from 3 teams, and I'm like, what am I going to do with my life now? I'm like, my mom's like, Ethan, you're unemployed, get a job. I'm like, Mom, I'm in between life choices. I'm not unemployed, in between life choices. Little hint to anyone's listening, that's always your line to your parents. In between life choices, Mom, Dad. So then, so then I'm like, well, let's make a video for Survivor. And so ran around New York City for a day. There may or may not have been some alcohol involved. I don't know. But I was supposed to make a video for my friend, and my friend was supposed to make a video for me. But we ran out of time for my buddy, and we just sent him my video. And then obviously the rest is history.
If I was going to go back and talk to my 18-year-old self, I would say, hey, you know what? All you got to do is somehow become friends with people that can get in Sports Illustrated and start a podcast with them. That's all you have to do, and you'll be fine. So just keep networking. Keep networking out there.
It took you this long to call me, huh?
Yeah, multiple people that can get in Sports Illustrated.
Right.
But
ahead,
it's. I think you guys can, Todd and Ethan could probably both attest. It's a scary place to be. When you stop playing, I think that's why you see a lot of players that do want to return. That's because if you're, depending on the level that you're going through and stuff, you didn't set yourself up, and this is what and it is what you love. Like, I'm so fortunate to be involved in soccer and back into soccer, but I wasn't for a long time, for about 10, 15 years. And being back in it, I'm like, well, I'm happy and this is where I am, but I found my place within it. But I think that it's a scary time when you say to yourself, I mean, I know we're joking about it, but when you say to yourself, oh my God, what am I going to do?
Yeah,
and I think it's a scary time as well, not just as a player. I mean, I just faced this within the last 2 years where my contract in MLS came to an end, and I was like, I'm 50 years old, or almost 50 at that point. I was 49. I've had 8+ knee surgeries. Do I really want to be doing this physically? Because as a goalkeeper coach in that league, I mean, it's a grind. I mean, it's 11 months of just physically eating your body. And I was the same way as almost like when I was a player. I was like, it was going over in my brain again. Like, what am I going to do? For 20, 30 years, this is all I've known.
Yeah.
And I didn't really set myself up for that next phase. And I was very fortunate. I'm doing something now I really, really like, and I enjoy it. But it is a bit out of soccer. I'm still in sports and entertainment, but it's a completely different avenue. Yeah. And it was. There was a year there I was scared to death. It's like, what am I going to do?
Absolutely. And I said that even after UCLA, and when, everybody knew I wasn't leaving LA, like I wasn't going to go to Orlando. I wasn't going to do anything unless, and I was like, but can I do this? Like physically as a goalkeeper coach, can I do this at 51? I'll tell you all at 51, like, can I do this day in and day out? And do I want to? Because then I started to hit the point where I was like, I don't like this that much. Like, I do want to be involved in soccer, but I can't keep knocking these balls. Like I'm like 28 years old and going through this every day. So yeah, it's a scary time.
Instead of you guys, Ethan and I decided to do the opposite and be like, hey, let's get back out there and hop in the net. Ethan, let's talk a little bit about that. Obviously, you played for Maccabi, the Maccabi Games this past year, and actually, I kind of want to pop this up here. I think it's I think you shared a video
Games.
from look at this guy.
5th on the table. We beat Colombia and Australia. We lost to Brazil and Argentina, and now we take on England, UK, the Brits. Wish us luck.
Oh yeah.
Will you play?
Yeah.
Believe in it and it will be good.
Look how
Yeah.
pumped
So
up
here
they
we
are.
are. Yeah. Bunch
Either
of,
were you playing? You were out of breath there. This is exactly what I'm talking about.
and I just walked to the field. I hadn't done anything yet. That was I made one save, my one save of the entire tournament, and then
Hey,
Oh,
don't let
look
him
at
kid you. He's the guy that's always running in marathons. He's running ultra
I know.
marathons. He's running through the woods. Don't let him kid you. He's pretty fit, and he's always been
I
fit.
believe
Look at that! Look at that save! Oh,
Look at
can we
that,
break
look
this
at
down?
that.
Should we
That's
break
not
this
me.
down?
yeah.
Oh, that's not you.
I actually didn't touch the ball. If you really want to break it down, but yeah, that was so when you're saying for me, coming back to playing was just as much about playing, but also being part of a team. Like I really haven't been part of a group of guys that are all working hard, trying to achieve the same thing. We want to win a gold medal, and we were together for a year, and we committed to getting in shape. We showed up 4 times to train in different areas of the country, and we went over to Israel. And so that for me was just as exciting and important as it was to, get fit and play and make some saves and stuff like that.
Oh, I love that you brought that up because part of, like I said, part of the scary part, it's when it stops, and you don't realize at the time because you're in it. But that camaraderie, that being around the team, that working together day in and day out, traveling together, everything. It's part of what's great about it. It's part of the experience. When some people ask me what I miss so much about playing with the U.S. I'm like being around my team and traveling. The gold medals and all of that was great. Yes, I'm not saying that, but that process was amazing. And when you're away from that, you miss it big time.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. You miss being part of that. You show up every day and you got 30 friends to hang out with, kick a soccer ball around with, and then once you stop playing, it's over. So obviously the physical side of it was a challenge as well. I was training for the Boston Marathon and trying to play goalkeeper at the same time, which that type of exercise doesn't necessarily translate well. Battle injuries, but I took it seriously, and I hired a goalkeeper coach, Todd. You set me up with some dude in Orlando and Tampa, and I really, if I was going to commit to doing this, I gave myself a year, and I just really got it. That's opening ceremonies for the Maccabi Games. 60,000 people in the stadium watching. It's the 4th largest international sporting event in the world, and it was just such a awesome experience.
Yeah, it was an awesome experience that I got cut from. Congratulations, Ethan. I'm really happy for you.
Did you get cut?
Happy. I did. I got cut from the over 35. But to be fair, it was during COVID. It was during COVID, Ethan, and literally the entire team was made up of Florida and Texas because they had been playing for the last 2 years. And literally all the California guys came into the national camp, and none of us had been able to play with a team for 2 years. So it was literally the first time I'd been in an 11-a-side field in 2 years.
What's cool? What's cool about this is I think out there is that Ethan, you don't just have to be on a World Cup team or an Olympic team to have these kind of experiences. To go to there's so many games like this out there and tournaments where 60,000 people at an opening ceremony. I think that's amazing, and it's so much about the experience and getting to do that.
Look, Joe Biden even showed up to say hello to us. But
is that Joe Biden?
Yeah, he came. Yeah. Where they're recruiting for we're playing in the Pan Am Maccabi Games, which are December 2023 in Buenos Aires, Argentina. So if you want to play, I know they're looking for players. So just let me know.
Todd, I think he was talking to you.
Yeah. I don't think that's in my cards.
He could have been talking to me. He's like, that guy got cut a couple of years ago. That's who he was talking to.
About
I'm
7 knee surgeries ago, maybe. Which I tell you, that's one of the things that I really, really, truly regret. I know, Ethan and I had a conversation, gosh, it's probably been 10 years ago at least, where we were going to try to run a marathon together. And he's like, look, I want you to run a marathon with me. I'm like, all right, no problem. Well, I've had several knee surgeries since. I can barely run around the block right now. I'm so sore for a week. So it's one of my biggest regrets. I was never able to do that with Ethan and run a marathon, because it's something I always really wanted to do. And obviously to do it with him would have been awesome. So Ethan, I do apologize. I know we had that packed together.
What's really interesting, Todd, is you can walk a marathon.
I might walk it, but it's going to take me a lot longer. You're going to be waiting at that finish line for a very long time. It'll take you 5 hours to walk,
15-minute miles. It's been done before plenty of times. You just can't get swept up. There's a little truck at the end that sweeps all the slow walkers. Just don't be there.
That would definitely be sweeping.
Wait, there's a like a Zamboni that
there's a total like marathon Zamboni that just scoops up all the people, puts them in the back of the truck.
That'll be Saskia and I. We'll be in the back.
Thanks. I'll be driving it.
We're the dinosaurs of the group here.
No, Ethan, you brought up a really good point in regards to like coming back to the camaraderie of a team. And Saskia, I know you kind of, enhanced on that as well too. But Ethan, just kind of talking to you, I don't think a lot of people that come back to playing think about that. They're like, oh my gosh, because a lot of them have only been doing individual activities, running a marathon, training in the gym, those sorts of things. And they haven't worked with a group of people in a competitive environment like that in a while. Yeah.
That was, I was that guy, a marathon, weights, biking, kayaking, all that stuff. So I was kind of removed from the team sport atmosphere, and that was it. Like I was competitive amongst myself, trying to break my own personal records and lift more weight, but it's just different when you do it with other people by your side. I don't have to tell everyone here about, just being part of a team. And that's really what it was. But being in the competitive cauldron again was super exciting. Like I haven't been nervous before a game in a really long time. You play, pick up or, adult league at night. It's, you just show up. But now, like, you're representing your country. You're got to, perform well for your teammates. You don't want to let any other people down. So it just increases that level of excitement. And that's what I miss, that you don't get that anywhere, or at least I don't.
You have to have more than one pair of gloves at your house.
I do. I see. That was the fun part. I got to upgrade. I still have my like Tony Meola jersey from like 1998, right? That I wore.
The turtle one?
Like the Adidas.
Oh, the turtle.
The Adidas with the 3 stripes.
Yeah.
I like that jersey because it was really thin.
That was, and they got little elbow pads. Yeah, you were probably wearing that.
You probably.
That's the one I cut the sleeves off of. You've heard the story for Mike.
Oh yeah,
I'd like to hear that story.
The originator of the short sleeve goalkeeper jersey.
You and Jorge Campos.
I was coaching Soccer Plus camps for Tony in Houston, Texas, in the middle of the summer. Enough said. Brutal. It's brutal, and those were the jerseys, and I was like, this is ridiculous. So I went and I cut my sleeves off my jersey. So Tony comes, I come out short sleeve jersey. He's like, oh, really? I was like, yeah. I mean, what do you need elbow pads for in a jersey if you dive properly? It's stupid, right? So he proceeded to demo front smothering
Of course
and make me demo it for all the kids. Now, the grass is just like straw because it's, we're not on plush fields or anything. I'm like bloody. And it was hilarious. And I had to bite it. And I was like, all right, I got it.
Oh my God. Ethan, did you do Soccer Plus?
Of course. Yeah.
Okay.
I was a Soccer Plus groupie, I guess you can say. Most of the East Coast Soccer Plus, they held them at Babson College back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Were you coaching there at Babson?
Yeah. Babson. Nice. Yeah, because that's what we did in the summer before we had a league and stuff. So we bounced around from all of Soccer Plus to train, and then I'd go into camp with the national team or something.
I want all the NWSL players to hear that. Go ahead.
No, I just asked
I was just going to say, just the NWSL, we're talking about, being fortunate for what you got and everything like that. And every NWSL player who's listening to this right now, just be fortunate that there is a league right now so that you don't have to go work camps
Yeah.
in the summer
Mhm.
in Houston, Texas, in the humidity, demonstrating front smothers.
And a short sleeve shirt.
Right.
But that does bring up a good topic there, right there, Ethan. And that is like, you know, obviously you decided that you got a goalkeeper coach from Todd, and you had to start going out there. First off, that's a weird experience as an adult when you start working with a goalkeeper coach.
I was thinking the same thing.
It is, especially as a goalkeeper coach, working with a goalkeeper coach
Yep.
to try to get better. Like, I know everything I'm doing wrong. You know it. I film myself. I overanalyze everything I do, and then I hire a guy to tell me how bad I am as well. You know, so like, what am I doing here? Like, what are you thinking? But I didn't think one held me accountable, and I had to show up. Like, I was paying the guy. I wanted to show up. Obviously, I was motivated to get better. And for me, it's, you know, it's the repetition. You know, field players don't necessarily understand what it takes to train a goalkeeper, and they get bored. Like, who wants to serve 30 balls to my right? Right, just in a row, you know. So, or you know, goalkeeper drills. So it was really helpful to get involved with the goalkeeper coach. But I was like, he never really trained a 50-year-old dude either. So it was a new experience for him. But I took it. I wanted to be coached like I was like in high school and just starting out again, going over the basics. There's some stuff that goes on in goalkeeping now that I was never even taught. You know, coming out, you know, the more the German spread eagle type of coming out versus hands to ball. That's new. Like, you know, did you know you can't pick up the ball when they pass it back to you now?
I did. It's crazy.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I don't know when they changed that rule, but that was
boggles my. But that's a good part. Like, going away from the game and coming back with new rules, with different techniques and everything. Like, I think that would be like, even coming back as a coach, like having to realize that I have to like, you can't just train old school anymore.
No.
Like, I had to learn, and I had to teach myself new techniques and new styles to coach as well. And no, you can't pick the ball up on a back pass.
Speaking of that, Ethan, I love the fact that you brought up the spread right there. So, like, what types of activities did you find to be the most foreign or difficult for you to kind of get back into?
So, you know, for me, you know, there were some new techniques. I actually didn't want to learn anything new, just because the odds of me actually implementing that in the run of play was be slim to nothing. But I wanted to know how to do it in case that happened. For me, you know, the speed and the pace of the game. Granted, we're over 45, but you know, I had been used to just a really slow game. The ball's coming at me. You know, I was training by myself, so like, diving on a stop ball all the time. I just didn't have any of the interaction. So for me, it was literally facing shots, working on my angles again, learning how to, I'm short. So I had a tendency of getting chipped. So I learned how to stay back in my line more than I ever have before when I was a younger goalkeeper. That was a huge help. But I just focused on the basics, to be honest, you know, low, medium, high dives, coming out for crosses, positioning, some shot stopping. I wasn't really doing too many crazy, like, diving over people who, like, upper 90 stuff. You know, those are going to go in at this age. So for me, it was all about just being consistent, being able to receive a shot, distribution, all those things that you need to get back into shape.
You know, I was just thinking about this, you know, Todd, obviously it's a little bit different than, you know, returning to the game from, you know, retiring and then kind of coming back. But you have had the situation, you know, in your MLS career where you've had veteran goalkeepers come to you that, you know, have their way, and they've been doing it this way for years and years and years. And we've had this discussion, Todd, you know, as well, about how younger goalkeeper coaches, younger pro goalkeeper coaches will try to foundationalize them, basically, like try to change them from the ground up, as opposed to just kind of like, if it's effective, it's effective.
Yeah, and at least from my perspective, I think you'll probably get a different answer from everybody. But for me, with an older player like that, you got to kind of let them do what they want to do to some extent. You know, now obviously there's tricks and things you can kind of manipulate to let them think they're getting their way, but they're not really getting their way. But you want them to have their input, because if you've done something for a certain way for 10 years, 15 years, and you've been very, very successful at it, it's really, really difficult to convince them to do it otherwise. So in my opinion, it was always like, okay, well, let's figure out what you really do like, how you like to train, and let's implement that. And then I'll throw in my little bits and pieces that I think are going to help. And we have open discussion. So now they always feel that they're a part of it. And that was always my way of dealing with veteran goalkeepers. And I think the more you're around veteran goalkeepers like that, the more you get a little bit savvy of how to have that open dialogue, open communication with them. So,
you know, and what's really interesting about that, you know, and obviously, you know, Susk, you know, you've worked at all the different levels that there is out there, and you know, you've worked with some very, very experienced, you know, goalkeepers as a teammate, and obviously as well as coaching them too. But let's just say that everyone does things differently, and if it's successful, it's successful. And I want a lot of young coaches out there to hear that, because, you know, I know you've seen it, you know, front and center, and been on both sides of it.
Was there a question in there?
Yeah, there was a question in there, but I was distracted.
It's okay. I agree with what Todd said.
Lovely grassroots soccer jersey.
I agree with, especially with veteran goalkeepers. You know, you're not, and even with what Ethan said, coming back, you're not there to reinvent the wheel with them. Like Ethan saying, listen, there's the German, like the smother, there's whatever is new. He's not going to implement it. He wants to know how to do it, but, you know, go over the basics and stick with what you're strong at. But still, even with veteran goalkeepers, your job as a goalkeeper coach isn't just to come in there and kick balls and take them through a session. Like you still have to work on things, whether it's going over previous game footage and seeing that their positioning is consistently off, like on crosses, they're too far near post. You know, I had to deal with that and stuff, but it's a different type of conversation. It's showing them through video. It's explaining to them why this happened and stuff, and what can we do to fix it, and implementing that into your training as well as into the training to get ready for the next game. But it's not trying to say you're doing this all wrong, this is the only way to do it. They're successful and they're where they're at because of the tools that they already have. How can you highlight those tools and strengths, but how can you also show why they're getting scored on? It's a different approach.
And see if you agree with this. That doesn't happen from day one.
No,
that happens over time when that veteran goalkeeper gains more and more trust in you as a coach. If you try to implement that from day one, they're going to be like, get out. Yeah,
because they're expecting. That's what they don't want. They don't want a new goalkeeper coach to come in and say, "Hey, do this way, do this that way." That's not what you want. Like you have to massage it and work with them. I totally agree with that.
It comes with time.
Yeah.
You know, and
we are a fragile bunch of players. Emotionally.
In the same regard, I mean, I remember I did the 2011 All-Star game, and it was Fareed Mondragon, Casey Keller, and Tally Hall. And, you know, I basically went to Fareed. He was going to start in the match against Man United. And I'm like, Fareed, what do you want to do? You know, we had 2 training sessions. I mean, it was ridiculous. And now we're taking on Manchester United, who's been training for a month in the preseason. And I'm like, Fareed, what do you want to do? He's like, no, you're my coach for these next couple of days. He's like, I want to learn from you. So you have that as well.
Yeah,
you know,
you have
at
the
the end
other
of the
side.
day, they're players and they want to learn. They want to be the best they can possibly be. So you've got that to play with too, where they're not looking to just do what they want. They also want to be guided. They want to be coached. They want to be taught.
And to be honest with you, so coming in for me, even when I was a player, I didn't like, you know, there were always the discussions with Tony and everything like that. But at the end of the day, like, he knows what you as a coach knows what that person has to work on and stuff, and set up your training sessions. So their only thought process is to work on this stuff and not kind of direct their own session in a sense as well. But I love that he had that ability and confidence in you just to say that. And that's what you want. You know?
You want that in a player.
Absolutely.
It was awesome. Now, you know, there was that same year I dealt with a German goalkeeper that was, I loved him to death. He was great, Frank Rost, but he was very challenging. And he challenged me at every turn. And then it was like one day, all of a sudden it broke through. And I gained his trust, and you could almost feel it. And we were golden from then on. But, man, he would challenge me every day on everything. but it was fun. I look back on it, I'm like, man, I learned so much as a coach from those experiences and him challenging me and saying, no, I want to do it this way. I want to do it that way. And, I was a young professional coach at the time, and it was a great learning experience for me.
Yeah. When I had players like that, I'd be like, okay, we discuss how I think maybe we should tweak this. They want to do it their way. And then when the ball was being picked up out of the back of the net, I was like, after the fifth time, you want to kind of try it the other way? Maybe.
Oh my God, that is hilarious. Ethan, actually, I want to bring this up with you right now. While you're here, because obviously, you playing in the Maccabi Games, which is a very high level for those of you guys out there who don't understand. It's a very, very high competitive level in the adult game out there. But you coming back to the game, dealing with not just teammates but coaching staff, like that's something I think a lot of people who return to the game don't even think about, the fact that like, oh, I now have people, and sometimes, let's be honest, in the men's game or the women's game, at the rec level or adult league level, semi-competitive level, they might not know as much as you do because they haven't played at the level that you have. So how do you handle that?
Well, I think we were fortunate to have an experienced coach, a guy by the name of Doug Homer, and he's been in the DC area coaching for a while. So definitely our peer in terms of he's the same age as us, but I think knowledgeable as a coach. So I actually enjoyed that experience because most of my playing days, I didn't really have a coach that analyzed the full game. Like goalkeepers were sent off over here, do your thing. We have a goalkeeper coach. We step in the last 20, 30 minutes of practice. Maybe it's a full field game, small sided games. But I really love learning how to integrate. We with the Black 3, we're playing a 3-5-2. Working on my distribution, communication. Where defense stands on corners, like all that stuff was a little bit new for me, and it inspired me and excited me to want to be there because I was learning, and I was learning in a way that I hadn't been taught before. But I can see how getting, I guess, motivated or inspired or yelled at by someone who's your own age that, like you said, may not know as much or knows just as much. It's a different situation. So I understand that's tough, but we were, as a team, we committed and we said, this is our guy. He's going to coach. You have to have trust in the coach, because when you have trust in the coach, obviously, hopefully he'll lead you to greatness.
So Saskia, on the coaching side, obviously you played at the highest level there is. Is it more difficult for a player who's played at the level like yourself to start out at the foundational level? Because not only of the players that you're dealing with, but also the coaching staff that you're dealing with might not have the same experiences that you have.
A foundational level is what? Like, what do you mean? Like club coaching?
Like club, like youth club coaching, like rec league or like younger kids. That type of thing.
mean, Tony used to always stick me with the oldest kids in camp just because I didn't have the patience. I wanted to just hammer the ball and stuff, but you grow out of that. And when I was coaching younger kids, I loved teaching. I think the bigger challenge was the coaches I was coaching with that didn't know anything about goalkeeping and thought they did, and would come back to me on a Monday after their team got spanked and be like, why can't this happen? Or they went for this. And I'm just like, I can't be at all the games, but explain this to me. And it was more listening to them talk about something they had no idea what they were talking about. But I think that, all of that taught me, like, it just teaches me to teach younger kids basics and to go over and really have to break things down, like how to, the technique behind certain things or certain situations just made me a better coach, instead of just jumping into the elite. And, I think that made me look at things so much differently, and is why I kind of analyze things the way I do. I mean, obviously we analyze plenty of goalkeeping together, and I see things that are crazy. I'm like, hey, look at his left toe. But it's because of coaching out of those younger kids and really having to break things down. Just makes me a better coach.
Yeah, it's funny that you said that right there, because obviously, Todd, you've worked your camps for years, and obviously you've worked in MLS as well too. So you've kind of seen it both from the grassroots level and at the highest professional level, and you've seen this experience as well too in MLS, where a coach has come in who was a great player, stepped away from the game for, let's say, 3-4 years, and then just decided because of relationships that I want to give coaching a shot, and then, they're asked to, work clinics or camps, in the off season, and they just don't have the skill set yet because they never worked that level.
Well, and I think it's not just a skill set for, say, a professional level. It could be any level.
Yeah.
Just because you've been a great player doesn't mean automatically I'm going to transition to be a great coach, because it's two completely different things. Yeah. Now, I think to be a very good coach, it helps to be a very good player, because you see things that the coach that maybe doesn't have that experience probably doesn't or wouldn't see. But you don't necessarily. I mean, you look at some of the coaches that are in the Premier League and things like, they didn't have great careers. Like, you've never heard of them. Some of them you obviously have, but not every single one. I've never heard of that player. Just because they weren't a great player doesn't mean they can't be a phenomenal coach. I mean, Alex Ferguson, arguably one of the best managers ever. I can't say he was a superstar international player. Right. I mean, he had a good career, but he wasn't a superstar by any means. So,
and then on the flip side, go ahead about Tony.
No, I was just saying, I was trying to think of some goalkeepers that are in the head coaching positions that have done well, like Walter Zenga, horrible at Revolution. Right. Friedel did bad. I was going to say DeChico is one of the only successful goalkeepers.
And he didn't go straight into that. I mean, Tony was our assistant coach under Anson for a while. And then when Anson stepped down for U.S. national team, Tony stepped up as head coach. So he and that's even goes back to what I was saying. Like, when I was younger and coaching camp, I was still playing. I wasn't with the younger kids because I didn't have that skill set yet. I didn't know how to break everything down. I didn't know how. I was just a player. I was a player at that time, and I was like, I knew how to do the drill. Tony told me to do the drill, take the 18-year-olds and smack the ball and hammer them and get them excited. But it took time for me as a player, and then even after I retired and came back, to get that skill set.
Yeah, and you probably have seen it too, Saskia. I mean, you get a lot of these players that have come out, they're fresh out, they're like a year out of their playing days, 2 years out of their playing days, and I get questioned, well, how do I break in to be a goalkeeper coach in MLS?
Yeah.
Well, how about cut your teeth at the youth level for a little bit? Learn the craft. It's very difficult to go from playing and boom, jump right into a really, really high level coaching. So I think, and at least in my personal experience, I greatly benefited starting at that grassroots level and literally doing tons of camps, learning how to coach and learning from a lot of different people, then going through the college system, learning how to deal with those age players, and then making the jump into the pro game. If I would have tried going from as a pro goalkeeper into pro coaching, oh man, I would have. There's no way.
But I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's not just about the technique of coaching. It's not just about setting up drills and understand. It's about dealing with human beings, and that takes a while as well. It takes dealing with understanding how to deal with all different personalities in goal and everything like that. And the more you get that from the grassroots, working your way up to kids that don't end up being successful, and on and on and on, that helps you manage, all different mentalities, and it doesn't happen like that overnight.
And
it's a game of relationships.
Not just being a goalkeeper coach either. I think you should also be a head coach at the youth level, because as a goalkeeper coach at the higher levels you play, you're not just dealing with goalkeepers. You're dealing with the back four. You're dealing with the midfielders. So if you have never had that experience of actually instructing and coaching field players as well, man, you're going to struggle in the modern game. Because
I always say you're a defensive specialist and goalkeeper coach.
Yep.
I want to transition over because I don't want to keep you guys too long here, but I want to talk about injuries because you all brought up injuries both on the coaching side, but I want to talk to Ethan a little bit on the playing side, because obviously the older we get, the less time we spend consistently doing the actions, the more likely we are to get injured. So Ethan, do you have any advice to any adults out there who are going back to playing?
I firmly believe a slowest trajectory possible. If you think you need a month, give yourself 3. But just having, I never totally lost fitness altogether. So I think that was helpful for me. I had fitness, I had strength. So for me, it was a little bit about just the technique, getting used to falling again, sprinting, the recovery, that whole side of it. You know, when it was the most difficult for me was back in 2009 to 2013, I went through cancer and twice. So coming back from like a zero, like, you know, you tear your ACL, you go through a cancer, or something totally bad happens. Coming back from zero is a lot more difficult than coming back from just having a general level of fitness. So I encourage everyone to try to just keep my whole philosophy is I can run a half marathon at any day of the week. So like, as long as I can run a half marathon, I feel like I'm a little bit fit, and I'm doing weights and kind of CrossFit and, you know, Peloton and that type of stuff. But I think that's hugely important. But if you're not in general shape, slow roll to fitness is the way to do it.
Especially in a position like goalkeeping. Like, I mean, I'm not taking anything, but I mean, what you're doing to your body, throwing it up and down off the ground. Look, if you were an NFL football player, you wouldn't just walk back on the field and go full on pads and get hit, you know. And basically, as a goalkeeper, you're walking back. If you're walking back onto the field and going full on, you know, breakaways and everything like that, you are going to be hurting, if not injure yourself, 100%.
Yeah. There's all the little stuff for me, you know, getting back to the proper alignment in my hips. You know, I was, you know, overcompensating on my right side, so I had to work a little extra going to my left side. I did a lot of weights. I had to build up my glutes and my core, just those little things that would help in a goalkeeper, because you're getting down and up, as we know, multiple times during a training session. So all the little muscles around the shoulders and stuff is really what I've been focused on.
Todd, what about on the coaching side?
It's almost just as bad. It really is. And I know I had a little bit of a lull in between Red Bull and, you know, the youth national teams, and then going to RSL. And when I first got to RSL, I noticed it, you know, because you go from, it's one thing if you're going into a national team camp a couple times a year, or you're doing some youth coaching on the side, to now you're doing it every single day at a high level. If you're not lifting weights, if you're not, you know, doing some cardio on the side, you're not lasting 11 months. And for like now, I'm 2 years since, if I tried to go back in right now, if I knew I was going to sign a contract, I would have to get in the gym. There's no way I could not get around that. Just because, especially at 50 years old, you know, because and I'm the one, I'm not sure if Saskia, you're probably the same way. If I'm not the personality that can go out there and say, hey, do this, do that, do that, do that. If I'm not striking in part of the actual exercises, I don't want to be a part of it. Not that I'm going to strike every ball, but I have to be involved somehow. And to be involved at that level, you've got to be physically fit, or you're going to get injured. And then you're potentially out of a job.
Yeah, I mean, I would come back from UCLA practices and stuff, and God, even that short ride in the car, I'd get out of the car and it just take me like 5 minutes to get out of the car. Yep. Like, it's just like, you know, on the coaching side, it is, you have to be fit as a goalkeeper coach. You have to. Yep. And that's part of the reason moving on from that, you know, like you said, Todd, can I do this forever? You know?
I mean, I found my last 2 years at RSL, and this was one of the reasons I knew the end was probably coming. Every day I was in the hot tub before training, and every day I was in the cold tub post-training. You know, and it's like, how long can I continue to do this where I'm literally just, I felt like my body was held by like little bits and pieces. And, you know, I just didn't want to go through surgeries anymore. And it's just, you get to that point and you're like, okay, it's time. It's time to move on and do something else with your life.
You're making me not want to respond to those emails about private sessions this weekend. That's for sure.
I pick and choose. I certainly pick and choose the sessions I do now, because to just pick
privates are tough.
It's hard. It's
because
really,
you
really
are
hard.
The only one serving. I mean, like, look, it is, like you said, going on the field when you're with a team and stuff, and you have 3 other goalkeepers besides the one that's in net, you know, you could set it up so you're serving, but they're serving as well, and take a little off when you're in a private for an hour or so. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, that's like when a guy reaches this guy reached out recently. He's like, I'm like, oh, what level? I was like hoping I was like U9 or something. He's like, oh, 17 years old, MLS next. I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that. That's hitting.
Well, you can train me. We can basically sit down for half the practice if you want.
Exactly.
Then have beers. It's the greatest.
Todd, Ethan, I appreciate you guys taking the time. Obviously, Saskia, it's the holiday season, and you taking the time as well too. You got a lot going on, but we appreciate all of you coming back to the game, all of you returning to the game, and Todd, you're still part of the game, regardless of whether you're jet setting or not. I want to do this before we wrap up right here, and kind of do a little piece on grassroots soccer. I want everyone kind of see a little bit about this, and I'm just gonna let it play out. So I'm going to put this on right
Soccer
here.
World AIDS Day Gala happening here at the Ziegfeld Ballroom in New York City.
Grassroots soccer right now is working with about 1 million kids a year. We need to be working with 10 million kids.
Go ahead, Ethan. Was that you saying
I just
that?
No, that was me saying it.
Oh, that was.
Young people like sports, and it's important to make sure that their love of sports must become a mechanism for them to get better health.
I think the great thing about soccer is it's an international sport. Everybody who ever gets a chance to play it loves it. And I think if you're playing something you love and you're out and you're being athletic and you're surrounded by other people your age who are passionate about it as well, that's when you're most open to hearing a message.
This is my 4th or 5th gala. I try to be here every year. I mean, it's a special opportunity for us to raise awareness.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Look at that.
Right on, right on.
Yeah,
love
Kristen will be there this year as well as Tobin Heath, and gonna be a fun night.
Awesome.
Saskia, are you around? Can you come east for this thing?
I have to work,
What?
but what is it? December 1st? I can't.
December 1st.
I can't take off work. Damn.
Oh my gosh.
That's that 2.5 day heads up.
I thought the other owners might have alerted you guys to what was actually happening, but
maybe I can find I know somebody that might be able to get you a private jet. We'll get you on a private
there
jet.
you go.
Oh,
Wow,
look at that.
Big time, big
Oh
time.
my gosh. Oh, wow. Well,
We'll bring it here in
if you can't
style.
make
is that a donation to grassroots soccer?
If I can't
wish I
make
could
it
do
this
that.
year, definitely next year without a doubt, Ethan. Put me down.
Yeah, where's the
100%.
Where's the grassroots soccer jet? Jet, Todd. Where's that?
That's maybe 2023.
There you go. I'll be
Working
on
on that.
and I'll be on it. There you go.
Oh my gosh. Well, Ethan, if people want to reach out to you directly or grassroots soccer, where's the best place for them to connect with you?
You can hit me up on the social media thing at Ethan Zohn on Instagram. Grassrootssoccer.org is the website for the organization.
Awesome. And Todd, obviously we know that you're on the Union platform. Everybody's on the Union platform, guys. It is a free soccer community where we all engage, entertain, educate each other. There's a fantastic forum where a lot of people are posting really great content. Just shout out to all you guys who've been doing that. Keep sharing that out with your friends. Todd actually has a virtual program that you can purchase on there, as well as a mentorship program, guys. So if you want to check that out, it's really, 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 really solid stuff. And I will find that right here. No, that's not the link that I wanted to show. I wanted to show here. Here we go. Check out the free Union Soccer community on all platforms. That is the smart link. It takes you to whatever device you are using. You can find Saskia Weber there, guys, at Saskia Weber. You can find me at Michael Magid, or you can find the podcast at Goalkeeper Podcast if you have a guest suggestion or a topic suggestion. Again, guys, World AIDS Day, December 1st, Grassroots Soccer, New York City. We will put that in the show notes. Ethan, honestly.
Yeah, you can pick up one of these shirts on December 1st, limited edition, 20th anniversary commemorative jersey.
Nice.
So it's got a sweet number 20 on the back. So you're first to see it. Pick it up December 1st on soccer.com.
And if you are looking to pick up some goalkeeper sessions, guys, Ethan's on. He's in New Hampshire. Call him up. I'm sure he wants to get out there. I'm sure he's got a set of cones that he wants to go through. He wants to do a little bit of handling work, get ready for that next Maccabi tournament. When's your next Pan American, right? Next year?
Pan Am Games 2023, December.
Man, see, that's how you got to do it. You got to just train for like one week out of the year. That's the best way to go about it. All right, guys, that's all the time on Inside the 18, and we are out. Later, guys.
Thank you so much.